Gentlemen, 3 tips on how to deal with adversity. What to do when life sucks. All right, guys. So I know life at times can be tough. It's a roller coaster. You've got those ups, you've got those downs, but when you're in those downs, you can really feel like you're alone, that you're overwhelmed, that nobody understands, and that life basically sucks. This video is for you because in today's video, I'm going to give you 3 tips on how you can take actionable steps to get out of this, to at least deal with it because we all face it. We've all had these downs. Now, one of my favorite sayings that my mom used to tell me is, I cried because I had no shoes till I met a man who had no feet. It's an old Persian saying, and I liked it because it actually made sense putting your situation to that relative of other people throughout the world. Because no matter how bad you think you have it, there is always somebody that has it worse. These trials, these things that you're going through, they are going to make you a better man. Now let's get to the tips. Number 1 is to take control. So there are people in life who they're going to believe that everything that happens to them is outside of their control. It's the environment, it's the local political situation, it's, all this stuff, and it's not their fault. And they're just going through life, but they're being affected by things on the outside. Don't be that person. Instead, look at yourself and realize that I have pretty much full control of how my life is going to turn out. Yes, there are extreme situations. Bad weather, it may be your country's economic situation, there may be a war. I understand those are things beyond your control. But for the vast majority of your life and other things, your day-to-day decisions are going to determine how your life turns out. All of a sudden, when you have this internal sense of control, no matter what happens, all of a sudden you start to feel better. And I'm going to use a military example here. So it's one of those things when you're in the military, there are times it just sucks, especially in training. When you've got people yelling at you, when you're out in the field for a week at the time. I remember we were in Quantico, Virginia, and it's freezing cold outside, and we're having to go basically in this thing called the Quigley. We're down in the water. It's just breaking the ice. It was horrible, freezing cold. However, one thing I knew is that time goes forward and that I was literally counting the minutes, and I was playing a game in my head to be able to make it through, knowing that, okay, we're going to have to go back in, we're going to have to change, get into dry clothing, and they're going to have to feed us. So at least I have that to look forward to. Great book to go check out, by the way, Viktor Frankl, Life's Search for Meaning. I love this book because this guy was in a Nazi concentration camp, and he talks about how they had taken away everything from him. His captors literally were taking people's lives. However, they could not take away the way that he looked at himself and the way that he chose to accept things and the way he chose to live his life, even in that very limited situation. So when you realize, I can choose how I'm going to look at this. I can actually maintain a bit of control of what steps and what actions I'm going to take. No matter what happens to you, you can find a way to find good in even the down situations. Tip number 2, you want to have an emotional driver. You want to have a reason for what you're doing. So something that drives you through these tough times. So let's take a young man wants to become a doctor. He's got to get through 4 years of undergrad, 3 years of medical school, and then 5 years of residency and internships, all this other stuff, before he can call himself a doctor. Now, that's a big barrier. That's a lot of time, a lot of study, a lot of pushing yourself. And if you don't have a good, solid reason, and it's not going to be about the money, it's not going to be about the prestige, that's nice, but it's really, I find that the doctors that make it through and excel are the ones that want to change the world, the ones that want to help people, ones that want to give back, and they're really fixated on, I know what the end goal is, and I'm so emotionally attached to this, I am here, I'm living my dream. When you have a driver like that, you can find a way to get through it. I'll tell you guys a personal story of mine. I did not make it through flight school because I did not have the emotional driver. Yeah, I blew out my sinuses and I had a physical gateway, but I was given an opportunity. You can go get surgery and you can try again, or you can get surgery and we'll just insert you into the infantry. I chose to go back, over to the infantry because when I thought about it, I'm like, I'm just doing this because it's fun. I like the lifestyle. I think it's cool. But when it comes down to it, I don't have the emotional attachment that these other guys do. And so I chose to step out of it and go to the infantry. And so you've got to be honest with yourself, because if you don't have that emotional driver, you're not going to be able to make it through the tough times. So tip number 3 is to build off of the small wins. So in these tough times when you're feeling overwhelmed, you've got to take a step back and you say, okay, how can I build off of these small victories? Now I'm going to use an example here, which is maybe a little bit odd, but let's get to Legos. So I've noticed that when my son when he was younger, he'd get these really big kits, and we would sit down, and at first he would be overwhelmed. But what I loved and what was really cool is that there was like a little victory every time you put on like 10 pieces. They would show you what this and my son was really excited. In fact, he wouldn't let me deviate from what exactly it said in the instructions. And it was victory after victory after victory. And after you get like 50 of these victories, all of a sudden you have you've accomplished what you set out to do. Guys, anything in life it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, and sometimes it takes years to achieve. So make sure that you break it up. I've heard of entrepreneurs who actually have a bowl, and inside that bowl they have marbles. Every time they have a small victory, multiple times a day, they put in a marble. So by the end of the week, they can look at the victories. When you look at those victories, you say, I've achieved success, and I'm going to go off and get those small victories. All right, guys, that's it. I want you to go check out the support article over at Real Men Real Style. In that support article, I give you a bonus point, which I didn't cover in this video. In addition, I go into a lot more detail on all the topics I covered here. It was written by Katrina over at Communication for Nerds. She's got a great free course for you that you can go check out. And guys, at the end of the day, when you are dealing with this adversity, when you're down, realize you're not alone. All of us go through this. So don't give up. Realize, hey, we're all human. Diamonds are formed under intense pressure and heat. And this, if you make it through it, it's going to make you a better man. That's it, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.